Hi everyone, my name is Carly Bruski and I'm a social worker here at JFCS. I'm also the director of the Holocaust Survivor Support Program. And today I'm here to talk about trauma, what it is, what some potential triggers could be, and how to practice effective self-care from home. Trauma is a very heavy and tough topic to talk about, even in the most normal of times. I understand that, so even hearing the word trauma right now could feel overwhelming. But I do think that the more we acknowledge trauma, understand it, and understand the complexities around it, the better equipped we are to support ourselves and one another. So thanks for joining me today. What is trauma? The Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, or SAMHSA, defines individual trauma as the following, and it's a little bit of a lengthy definition, so bear with me. Individual trauma is resulting from an event, a series of events, or a set of circumstances experienced by an individual as physically or emotionally harmful or life-threatening, with lasting adverse effects on the individual's functioning and mental, physical, social, emotional, or spiritual well-being. We know that people who have experienced trauma at any point in their lives, whether it was the distant past or the recent past, are especially sensitive to new stressful situations like a pandemic because they remind them of those earlier traumatic events. Trauma reminders are called triggers. And triggers can be anything from sights, smells, sounds, physical sensations, anything that evokes that intense fear or reaction like that which was experienced during the original traumatic event. Unsurprisingly, a common trigger is the news, especially right now. So for example, if someone is watching the news and sees images of a packed hospital full of sick people or those who have passed away, that could be a trigger. Or if someone has survived a war or a childhood of abuse or neglect in which there was a lack of food or no food at all, seeing news about food shortages or empty grocery shelves can be a gigantic trauma trigger for people. Triggers cause someone to feel like they're reliving that trauma in every sense of the negative experience. And it can be really difficult to ground or comfort someone in the throes of those triggers because it is such a visceral experience and that trauma has been built into their brains and bodies. So how do we take care of ourselves and others? 73% of JFCS staff say they practice self-care at work by taking little breaks and taking the time to chat with their coworkers. Almost everyone said that outside of work, they practice self-care the most by socializing with friends and family. So we know that connecting virtually right now is not the same as seeing our loved ones in the flesh, but there are a lot of creative platforms coming out of this pandemic that are helping people feel connected. For example, there's all kinds of Zoom calls. Some gyms are putting free online classes up. Universities are putting free online classes up. I know a lot of people are using the app House Party to have virtual parties and get-togethers and work out together. Facebook Live has a rich library of content that they're streaming now. So depending on what you need and what you want, it's becoming more and more readily available online. You just have to search for it. 45% of staff say they like to listen to music to decompress. Right now, NPR is streaming live concerts. Live from Philly on Instagram is also streaming live shows. They have a whole plethora of DJs, musicians, bands. There's online dance parties happening. So there's a lot of variety around music online at the moment. 62% of staff say they feel like they're taking care of themselves the most outside of work by disconnecting from work. That is very important regardless, but especially in the time of quarantine when the days feel like they're running into one another. If you have the opportunity and the means, try to make your workspace separate from your living space where you relax or where you sleep. That can be really helpful. Lastly, I just want to touch on this idea of toxic positivity around self-care. I think it's really important. Right now we're seeing a lot, especially on social media, of content that's saying, in this time of isolation, you should learn a new language or learn how to play a musical instrument. And while I think that those things can absolutely be positive projects for people, I want to create the space to acknowledge that not doing that or not doing something like that is absolutely okay as well. Adding the responsibility of a new hobby or making people feel like they're unproductive if they're not taking something like that on is what we want to avoid. That can be very stressful and even harmful to people. So show yourself some self-love and do what you want and do what you need. If that's exercising, great. If that's doing a puzzle, great. If that's eating a bowl of ice cream and watching Netflix for a few hours on end, that is also fine. You know what you need, and following that through is absolutely okay, even if it differs from what other people are doing or telling you to do. So the silver lining here really is that people are resilient after a disaster. They may experience a wide variety of reactions, many of which are natural responses and are okay, but resilience is the ability to bounce back, to cope with adversity, and to endure difficult situations. So we've proven as humans time and time again that we are extremely resilient and we will get through this together. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope everybody is staying well and safe. Thank you. Bye-bye.